When Herpa fails to deliver us the most basic aircraft models for our collections, well, custom models are the way forward, and there are many great custom model makers out there. For this review I have turned to TWC Customs, who has made me this lovely little Brussels Airlines model. But how has he actually done with it? That is what we want to find out, and we will find out right after the drop. With that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we, as mentioned, will take a closer look at an Airbus A320NEO of Brussels Airlines. Now, this is a TWC Customs model, of course, based on a donor model from Herpa Wings. And we can see he has already customized the box a little bit, added the Brussels Airlines branding here in the front. But, of course, there are some restrictions with what he can do with this box design coming from Herpa Wings. But still, I think I really like the effort he has put into it, trying to modify the box as much as possible and give it a little bit more of a custom feel. And here she is, the Airbus A320NEO in the new standard livery of Brussels Airlines. I guess we can still call it that, since it is only a couple of years ago since they changed the livery. And we still haven't seen any Scale 500 aircraft models actually featuring this livery, so the only models we can find out there are custom models. I myself have already reviewed an Airbus A330 with this livery. You can find that review here on my channel. But for now, we're focusing on this A320NEO from TWC Custom, who has made this model for me about a year ago. I picked it up earlier this year at the Amsterdam Fair, but that means the standards we see here on the model is basically from a year ago, and he has already tweaked on some things and improved on them, but I will mention that throughout the video. Now, let's start off with a look at the tail section, where we're on the vertical stabilizer, find the Brussels Airlines branding. I mean, yeah, the red dots, that's the new Brussels Airlines logo, which I guess no one really understands. That doesn't look like a logo, but in any case, that's what they're going with. On the fuselage, we then find the Belgian flag, we find the flag of the European Union, and the full registration code of the aircraft. We also have a bit of nice detailing in the cabin door towards the very tail of the aircraft. We then also have a bit of detailing around the APU exhaust, and from there we can move on to the front of the aircraft. And here across the fuselage, we find the writing of Brussels Airlines. Now, that is a branding that people will understand, apart from these weird red dots. But in any case, yeah, that's just my personal grievance with the new Brussels Airlines branding. We, of course, also have a few static ports and hatches. We find the Star Alliance logo next to the cabin door, of which the airline is a full member. And again, some detailing in the cabin door themselves. There's actually also a little logo on the right side of the cabin door. I'm not quite sure what that is about. If you know, let me know in the comment section down below. Then we have a bit of writing just underneath the cockpit windows. I do believe that is the aircraft type specification. Again, here also some hatches or static ports and the last two letters of the registration code. The cockpit section itself then has the neo black mask with the cockpit windows. What I would have wished for here is the addition of some window wipers, but that is something that TWC Customs is working on to add to future releases. The engine nacelles have been kept in all white, just as most of the fuselage, but we do have the silver leading edge painted on. What is missing here are some safety markings. I definitely want my custom models to have a higher standard than Herpa Wings, so safety markings for me would have been a given here, but this is again something that TWC Customs is working on to implement across all of his products. What we still have here is the nice physical detailing of the engines from Herpa Wings, which for example means here when we look into the front we can very nicely see the engine fan blades. On the fuselage, just above the wings, we of course find the emergency exits, and that leads us straight to the wings, which we should also take a closer look at, starting off with the top side, where we have the different flap slats and spoilers carved out fairly nicely. We have some different shades of grey for additional detailing and the markings for the emergency exits printed on. The underside of the wings has more nice physical detailing, and here we can find the full registration code of the aircraft. The A320NEO, of course, has winglets. This means we find some lovely Brussels Airlines branding here, added on with decals from TWC Customs, very nice. But of course, with A320 family aircraft models from Herpa Wings, we do need to check the winglets individually for every single aircraft, because they're crazy inconsistent. On one side, we can see this looks fine. On the other side, yeah, I've seen better. Then we have the landing gear. That is, of course, the standard landing gear that Herpa uses for all the Airbus A320 family aircraft models. The main landing gear looks fine as always, and the front landing gear hideously oversized, but TWC Custom has at least added a little bit of a detail here, so that's nice. On the belly of the aircraft, we don't have much to see, apart from a hole in the fuselage where standard is not included with this aircraft model, but TWC Custom again here has added the beacon. That is a detail we also find on the top of the fuselage, so that's quite nice. And then last but not least, we do of course also have the doors to the cargo compartments here at the back of the aircraft and also here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Airbus A320NEO in the new standard livery of Brussels Airlines, based on a donor model from Herpa Wings, but of course made as a custom model from TWC Customs in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? I mean, the fact that we have to have this as a custom model, I think, is almost scandalous. The fact that we haven't seen any new Brussels Airlines livery models in scale 500 so far from any manufacturer, I really don't get it. I especially don't get it with Herpa Wings, because they have so good contacts with Lufthansa and the Lufthansa group, which Brussels Airlines is a part of. And I understand that you often would have to talk with the individual airlines within the airline group. But the fact is, Herpa has actually good contacts with the airline and makes in-flight sales products for them, so that they still haven't managed to get the license so they could make a model like this, for me, is just crazy and really shows how much Herpa is failing us. But then, of course, luckily, there are custom model makers out there that can help us out. Now, in terms of this model specifically, I think TWC Customs has done really nice work here. We have hand-painted the details like the silver leading edge on the engines or the beacons on the fuselage. I think in terms of working with the decals and placing them, I think also here TWC Custom has done a really nice work. You don't really see any edges from the decals, so that's also very nicely done on the model. You have a very smooth surface overall. The only thing I've noticed with these decals is that the dots that we have across the fuselage, when we get close to it, you do notice that they do get a bit grainy, but you have also to get quite close before you actually notice that. I think where the model definitely has room for improvement, that is for me the missing details on the engines. But of course, if these decals aren't there, they can't be added, and the same goes for the window wipers. But again, these are things that I know that TWC Custom is working on to implement across all the models that he is offering. So this is really just a reflection of, this is basically a 1-year-old model from him, and he has already moved on quite dramatically from the standard that you see here. And this is already a really, really solid standard for a custom model, in my eyes at least. But these details are missing, which is why I am mentioning it. But what are your thoughts? I know more and more of you are like me, adding custom models to your fleet. It is becoming much more popular these days. But what are your thoughts? Is it just because the diecast manufacturers are neglecting models like this, or do you think it is actually maybe the better way to go with these kind of custom models, because we can get more details? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then feel free to leave a like. If you're new around here, why not hit subscribe? And with that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.